Let's talk about the greatest thief of all time, not only in the workplace, but at home and in your general life. A little word called presentism. Now, you may not know it by that term, but you will recognize it by definition. It's those people that show up for work and are not prepared. Their heart's not in it. They're not thinking about it. They're physically not prepared. And they might even be a little bit ill physically, but they show up. And with that in mind, we find an interesting percentage that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. Well, that's a staggering cost to everybody involved. The people that look at it and aren't performing, and they know that. And the employer, could he possibly present an environment where we reverse that? And you got a lot of those people that are part of the 80% to flop over and become doers. And what would it take to put that together? I've asked that question to a number of business people, and they struggle with it. We just don't know. Well, I'm going to define it through trauma. You know, trauma is a very interesting thing because it just fills a space in so many arenas, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially. We're looking at what's taking place with our health insurance cost. And just buying groceries, things have gone through the ceiling, and now we're looking at retirement. Numbers to retire are staggering. And so many innovations and progress is just exponentially growing with the change of business. So for us, if we could create this environment and moving out of the world of chaos and into the world of order to where you're calm, your body is calm, and you have purpose, would that make an interesting situation? And if that were to happen, we know that the increase in performance, according to a host of studies, talks about a 20 and 30% increase in performance. Well, that makes a big difference. Now, if we maneuvered that just correctly and showed you a way to do that and double your energy for half the money, now that you have energy, you're clean, you have purpose in life, and you have that goal, it would be everything in the world to you and the employer and the customer. You know, the customer feels this right up front, that you have their best interest because you're beginning to take care of your mind and your brain and your body. And here we're seeing all kinds of issues taking place with plastics in the brain. And how are we going to get those out? How are we going to clean the brain? How do we get you to that office the next day into the workplace where you've contracted with somebody to perform for them when you're not mentally ready? And this really brings into play the greatest thief. It steals your energies, where chronic fatigue comes into play. And that leads you to poor nutrition because now we have an emotional thing going. And the stress and burnout that seems to be right alongside and creating the emotional stress that we live with. And then that progresses into the physical illness. And all at once we're bringing that physical illness and just transporting it to employ other employees, and their attitude goes down, can't work with you. The customer feels it. So all at once, if we just showed you how to take care of this and how really inexpensive it, by understanding and knowing the train, would that make sense to you? And along with that, we know that the whole thing of cleaning the body takes place at night when you sleep. So here we are offering you a platform, an environment to absolutely explode not only your performance, but the employers, where suddenly the most interesting thing takes place is gratitude. And that was one of the major issues that we have in the world of business, is the lack of gratitude, where people are excelling and we're not recognizing it. We need to do that.